right, we'll call this meeting to order before we get into trouble. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Al, if you could do roll call for us, please.
Benson.
Here.
Sarda. Here. Purdy. Here. Hoffman.
Here.
Miner.
Here.
Moser.
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here.
City Attorney Denberger.
Here.
All right, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of September 9th, 2019. What is your pleasure?
Move we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion about the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Now we have some proclamations. So we will start with the Careers in Construction Month proclamation. So whereas Careers in Construction Month is an annual month designated to help increase public awareness of the opportunities available in construction trades or trade professions, and whereas during the month, employers, associations, and schools are encouraged to conduct job fairs, panel discussions, and local community events to inform students of the vast employment opportunities in construction, and whereas the construction industry is one of our nation's largest industries, employing more than 5 million individuals in the U.S. And whereas we are pleased to honor the construction trades professionals and the critical role they play in the development of our state of South Dakota, and whereas through a collaborative effort that reaches policymakers as well as local educators and high school students, our goal is to effectively address some of the issues that have contributed to chronic labor shortages and misperceptions of careers in construction to develop a skilled workforce for the future. And whereas the National Association of Home Builders Student Chapters program is dedicated to enriching the educational experience of students by offering them firsthand exposure to the real world of the building industry through NAHB membership, educational programming, and networking opportunities. Now, therefore, I, Nathan Johnson, Mayor of the City of Yankton, do hereby proclaim October 2019 as Careers in Construction Month. And of course, we urge all citizens to join us in this special observance. So if I could have you come up for a photo. Is there anything you two would like to add about the month or efforts that you have underway?
If anybody
You could
does,
step up to the mic.
if anybody does have, like you said, to reach out to schools, we're with the Lewis and Clark Home Builders, and please reach out to us, either email us or call us with any ideas you have, and we'd be more than happy. We have a group of contractors, electricians, plumbers that'll come speak to young people that can tell us a little, or tell them a little more about our industry.
You were telling me you have some students you've worked with.
Yeah, I own K Construction. We do a lot of work here in town, and I've had several high schoolers over the years come work for me during the summer, and a lot of several of them have stayed on through their college, coming back each summer. And one of them is, I think, I've got his arm twisted into coming on as a career after college. So that's something I've just been trying to do, is raise awareness. I enjoy construction. I think it's fun. It's not like it used to be. We have fun equipment now. We have telehandlers in lieu of scaffolding, which we still have to set up scaffolding once in a while, but it's different than it used to be 50 years ago, and it's a lot more fun. There's a lot more toys now, and that's something that I don't know that it's always perceived that way, and so that's something we're just trying to share.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have 2019 Manufacturing Week. Whereas recognizing September 30th through October 4th as Yankton, South Dakota's Manufacturing Week Week is an effective way to highlight the importance of manufacturing in our nation's economy and draw attention to the many rewarding, highly skilled manufacturing jobs, as well as celebrating the educational programs here in Yankton that prepare our future workforce for careers in manufacturing. And whereas the Yankton manufacturers celebrate this great week through open houses, facility tours, and educational events, and whereas 35 businesses in Yankton are classified as manufacturers, manufacturing represents 31.5% of the local workforce and 38.2% of privately owned establishment payrolls. The manufacturing industry is a dynamic segment of Yankton's economy and an integral part of the economic community. And whereas Yankton has 3.1 times the national average of manufacturers per capita, and Yankton manufacturers produce a GDP of over $304,422,000 annually. And whereas Yankton manufacturing touches everyone in the community, now therefore I, Nathan Johnson, do hereby proclaim September 30th through October 4th as Yankton Manufacturers Week and recognize the contributions to our city by all those manufacturing employees, employers, and owners. Carmen, did you want to get a picture? Do you want to say a few words about what you have planned?
Happy to. Thank you. Sorry, traffic was tough. Carmen Schramm with the Yankton Area Chamber of Commerce. Again, I'd like to thank the Commission for helping us recognize this one of our top 4 industries in the community of Yankton. This is our 6th year of celebrating Manufacturing Week, and as you probably are aware or remember, we took this to the governor at the time 6 years ago to try to make a proposal to him to recognize this industry across the state of South Dakota because it is terribly important. And so he overwhelmingly agreed, and thus we've been having a great time celebrating Manufacturing Week, and we do encourage all of you to take in the tours and various other things and to come enjoy the Manufacturing Olympics on Friday, October 4th as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Now we have the city manager's report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, and friends from the public. A few things to visit with you this evening. We have a 5-week month here, a 5-Monday month anyway, so it'll be a while before we see each other again. So I want to remind everybody that on Saturday, October 5th, when you're all done having fun at Manufacturing Week, we have a household hazardous waste event at our transfer station. That'll be happening from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. At our transfer station. You can bring your household hazardous waste out, and for a $10 charge, you can have them taken by our vendor there, and they'll be safely removed. So if you hop on our website, on one of the headlines at the bottom there, there's a whole list of things, including a lot of cleaning supplies, household products, repair and sort of shop supplies and liquids, a lot of things that should not be thrown away in your regular solid waste container that you can get rid of. So I see nail polishes on there, and I didn't know that one. So don't throw away your nail polish, bring it to the household hazardous waste event. But everybody's welcome to participate in that for that fee. Commissioner Weber and I were in attendance at the Lewis and Clark Behavioral Health luncheon that took place last Wednesday. A great opportunity to hear about the things that Lewis and Clark Behavioral Health are doing, not just in Yankton, but in this whole region. It is sombering to hear about the increase of mental health assistance that's needed in our community, but also uplifting to know that we have the capacity and the staff to address it. So Lewis and Clark Behavioral Health are expanding. They're doing a lot of, or starting a lot of the programming that's cutting edge in terms of mental health, and that's not just for adults but also youth in our region. So I was glad to be a part of that. Mental health is something that is very important to the overall well-being of our community. So I'm glad that we're a part of that and that they invited us to listen to that update from them. So that is something that I think you all know we invest in on an annual basis, and probably one of our greatest ROIs on investment when we talk about the health and well-being of our citizens. Something impacting my mental health for the better this month is our sales tax report. We were up for August 3.93%, which brings our year cumulative total to 3.58%. So that's definitely the direction we want to be headed. Our triple B was up for August, 1.94%, which for the year accumulation is up 0.66%. So also in the direction we want to be. So I did mention to the media I still have quite a bit of concern about harvest and what's going to happen in the fall, but for the time being, we're in good shape there. I want to talk with you all too a little bit about the census. I had handed out before our work session just a short little primer on the census. It's Census 101, what you need to know. I'm going to try to give a fact every commission meeting between now and when we're starting the count. We have census workers already in our community verifying addresses, and at the first of the year they'll begin their count. I believe census month is in March time frame, and census day is actually April 1st. So one fact that I think we forget about the census is that it is in the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution mandates that everyone in the country be counted every 10 years, and that the first census was in 1790. So it is something that our whole country has committed to keep a count of people in our communities, counties, and then throughout our state and nation. Most communities put together what is called a count committee, and we are looking at doing that as well. This is basically a public relations and public education committee to get the word out. And I know this is one project that's being considered by the Leadership Yankton group that's working with the chamber right now. So we're waiting to see if that's a project that they commit to. I'd be excited about that for the very reason that the count committee works best when it's made up of actual citizens talking to other neighbors and friends and their social groups, and works probably less well when it's made up of people from government and Dave Mingo and I telling everybody to make sure you do your civic duty and fill out your census. We would, however, regardless of how that committee gets formed, we would like to have a liaison from the City Commission on that committee who working with that group, although like I said, we don't know who exactly that group would be, to provide feedback and maybe come back to us with some requests as well. So give that some thought. I won't ask for an individual this evening since I don't know a lot yet about that formation of that committee, but probably be a short-term commitment later in the fall and then the first couple months of the year to work on that. So I've never really been a part of a census process as a city manager, so it's kind of neat to see how it's coming together. But you'll start to see some things on our social media as well, but it would be nice to get an active committee in the community talking about the importance of the census. I don't have anything further for the commission unless you have questions of me.
Are there any further questions for the city manager? All right. Next, it's public appearances. So this is a time when people or audience members wanting to address the commission about something not on our agenda can step up to the podium. Ed, I see you have your hand raised.
Excuse me, my name is Edward Glick, and I was watching PBS the other night and talking about the Sioux Falls had a problem with emerald ash borer. I wanted to know if the city had any game plan in the foreseeable future, because they found out in Sioux Falls trimming a ash tree, and he broke a limb off and had emerald ash borer in the tree. And to that point, it very easy. So I'm saying, if does the city have any game plan to do what because they don't want to bring the firewood, cut up the firewood, and take it to the Black Hills because the firewood had the bugs in it. So they want to know if this is the game fishing park or somewhere else know what that actually look like. So or the board look like. So it should be something to look at, something to go for when you have a 10,000 tree zone. And they said again, the city of Sioux Falls has a number of them on the right of way. So, and the city will be responsible for them. So, thank you.
We do have an emerald ash borer plan. We have not had reports of having the emerald ash borer in town yet. And I say yet because I think we all know it's going to get here. It's as close as, Del Rapids and Sioux Falls, and coming up now through Nebraska as well. So eventually it will likely get here. We've taken a preventative approach. We've started to remove ash trees. We've started with the ash trees in public spaces and those that are particularly damaged or older first, and then we're continuing through with other public spaces. We're trying to replace with more trees than we actually take down with different varieties. We're all not sure what happened in the 80s when they had the was it Dutch elm disease in the 80s, and we all then planted a whole bunch of green ash. I don't know why we didn't think about then, diversifying a little bit more, but we're trying to be smarter on how we plant and diversifying the population more in case there's other diseases that come forward. So we're addressing that. We're also trying to encourage people that have ash trees in their yards, since we're not addressing those that are on private property, to remove their ash trees, and we have a tree replacement program. So if you remove a tree, you can get reimbursed for partial cost of a tree of a different species. We won't reimburse for ash trees, of course. We don't encourage anyone to sell or plant those. So we do have a plan. It's a long-range plan because we can't cut all the trees down in 1 year. There's just too many, but we've been active on it now. This will be our second year. Is that correct, Todd? And then, we are hoping that we can get ahead of that little green bug before they get to us. But it is something that's coming. But I appreciate you bringing that up because we do have tree trimming coming up. So if folks are hiring a tree trimmer and they notice they have an ash tree, it might be an opportunity for them to take that down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed. Would anyone else in the audience like to address the commission about something not on tonight's agenda? Seeing no movement, we will go on to the consent item agenda. Number 1 is establish October 14th, 2019 as the date for the public hearing on the request for a transfer of ownership and location for a retail on-off sale malt beverage license for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 from TST Inc., doing business as River City Harbor, to Pump and Stuff Yankton. And number 2 is establish October 14th, 2019 as the date for the public hearing on the request for a transfer of location of a retail on-off sale malt beverage license for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 from TST Inc., doing business as Finney's Pub and Casino, adding River City Harbor Conference Room in the Yankton Mall. What is your pleasure?
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion of the consent agenda items amongst commissioners? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission about the consent agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you. Moving on to old business. Number 1 is consideration of Memorandum 19-195 regarding the request for a special events retail on-sale liquor license for October 4th, 2019 from Dayhuff Enterprises, doing business as O'Malley's Bar, and this would be for an event at the National Field Archery Association headquarters. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Benson,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Burdick,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 2 under old business is consideration of memorandum 19-203 regarding the request for a special events retail on-sale liquor license for October 12th, 2019 from Dayhuff Enterprises, doing business as O'Malley's Bar. And this would again be for an event at the National Field Archery Association headquarters. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Burdick,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to new business. Number 1 is consideration of memorandum 19-198 regarding a bid award for the annual supply of sludge removal for wastewater and water treatment plants. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? The bid award this year is for Willard, the recommended bid award is for Willard Schmidt for .0325 cents per gallon. Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Burdick,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
Strahm,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 2 under new business is consideration of memorandum 19-197 regarding resolution 19-49, a plat of Lot 1A and Lot 5 of Gamco's addition to the city of Yankton, and that is located on the east side of the 3100 block of Douglas Avenue. What is your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Dave, can you explain what's going on here for the public?
We have a previously platted tract of ground to the north of 31st Street, east of Douglas Avenue, west of the south end of the crosswind runway. It's about 25 acres of ground that's in 3 parcels right now, and it's being replatted so that it is 2 parcels, one larger northern parcel and then a smaller corner lot at the intersection of Douglas and 31st Street. Primary concern when you go through a subdivision review like this, especially when you look at the topography in the area, is addressing on-site drainage and maintaining rates, flow rates that leave the site to historic levels. In other words, not doing anything that would add to any drainage issues that might already be in the area. And those plan sets have been submitted and reviewed and approved by our city engineers, so staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval of the proposed plat.
Is there any more commission discussion?
Is there any, there's no rezoning of it, just modifying the plat?
That's correct.
Okay.
Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Benson,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Burdick,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
Strahm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 3 under new business is consideration of memorandum 19-196 regarding resolution 19-48. This, which is the sale of a remnant parcel of city-owned property for economic development purposes, and this would be located at 330 Cedar Street. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item?
Dave, can you kind of cover why that was what we're doing with that?
Sure. Commissioners, you may remember through the years we've had several instances where the cities end up in ownership of a property that can, by definition, be considered a remnant, not really big enough for a standalone development, adjacent to another parcel that has some development potential but is potentially restricted by the city owning a little sliver on a corner. I think our most recent one before this was an area of property just to the east of Gramps, down on 4th Street along the creek. These are properties the city has owned and maintained for a number of years, and we don't really have a long-term purpose for having ownership of them. We don't have any existing utilities in them. We may have acquired them, for one of 100 different reasons through time, old utilities that aren't there anymore, or things like that. State law allows municipalities to transfer remnant parcels to adjoining property owners. We also use the extra precaution of transferring those properties through a local economic development corporation, which is another way that state law allows transfers from governmental entities to private property holders. We go through a process of establishing market value, and we try and be conservative from the city's perspective on that market value. And when I say conservative, I mean we tend to land medium high on the range of what we think the value would be. Otherwise, why would the city be interested in liquidating something? This is a parcel right south of the old cotton oil, just a little 1,800 square foot piece of ground. The new owner of the cotton oil site has project plans in mind, and him having access to this property would square that up. We had previous conversations with Mr. Cotton when he owned the property, and just never got to a point where we got it to before the commission for action before. But we're at that point now, and this agreement would authorize City Manager Leon to enter into a purchase agreement with YEPG, who would then transfer the property on along to the adjoining property owner.
And that's for 1,896 square feet at a cost of $2,844?
Correct, $1.50 a square foot. That's correct.
All right, any more commission discussion?
Where typically does the proceeds go into?
The general fund.
Unless we otherwise state otherwise, right?
Yeah, and in the past, we've also used it for paying down debt at HSC. So that would be your prerogative.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any more commission discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 4 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 19-199 and Resolution 19-50, recommending approval for the City of Yankton to apply for a solid waste management program fund grant. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Adam, did you want to talk a little bit about what we're applying for here? Comes to more than $300,000, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. This is for several pieces of equipment at the transfer station that are used on the day-to-day routine. The walking floor transfer trailers, the skid loader, a mini excavator which is used to load the walking floor trailers, and a lawnmower. It's all equipment that's in need of replacement, and we just thought we would look for other funding sources to help assist with the purchase and replacement of that equipment.
Appreciate you taking the effort to find alternative funding for it. We know we can use it if we can secure it. Any more commission discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, motion passes. Number 5 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 19-201 and Resolution 19-52, regarding a request by Yankton High School for a special events parking ordinance number 933 to be in place during the March to the Meridian event on October 12th, 2019. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item?
I do see Mr. Carr in the audience, so I would love if he could tell us just a little bit about the event. It sounds unique.
I saw someone playing
Elevator speech, Mr. Carr.
I saw someone playing a nose flute over the weekend, so maybe you could play one for us?
Yeah, what can I say? You don't want to hear me. You really don't. I appreciate the consideration for what we would like to do. Last year was our first annual March to the Meridian Band Festival. What it is a morning parade and afternoon field competition here. The parade took place in downtown Yankton, the field show at the newly renovated Crane Youngworth. I believe last year we had a total of 14 different bands and with different configurations of who did the parade and who did the field show. This year we're at 17. We had 18 until yesterday. But we have 17 bands that are involved in the day, 17 that are doing the actual parade, and 9 that are going to be doing the field show in the afternoon. And this will bring, approximately, you can figure, about 17 communities, if they would choose to come to Yankton, downtown for shopping, and the neighboring businesses for food and such. It's run by our Yankton Boosters, our parents organization, and with the generous help of Yankton High School, Dr. Kindle, allowing us to use Crane Youngworth, which is fantastic. The bands love playing there. It is not just a competition, but it's a chance for bands from different communities to get together, and they all have a common goal: to entertain, to grow, and maybe even have a little fun. We got to be careful with that word, though. But in the afternoon, we remove the competition aspect and really go after the camaraderie as we have a non-competitive drum-off. Again, that happens at the field. But downtown, it's just fun to have a hometown parade atmosphere is what we've based this around. And if I may take a moment, we also need vehicles to join our parade because we have to run a band through, and then we need time to let the judges to visit on their recorders and record scores. We'd love to have a lot of vehicles. If anybody's got anything nice, ugly, what have you, we would love to have people show up. I talked to Julie Fisher is allowing us to use the Missouri Valley Associates parking lot to prepare for that, and we would insert these cards in between the bands. So if you have any other questions, I'd love to answer them.
Mr. Carr, what is the parade route?
It would start on the south side of the Meridian Bridge. We allow the bands the opportunity to go across the bridge, and then they're going to shoot up right through the Meridian Plaza, and then is it Walnut we just redid? I'm sorry, I've only lived here 22 years. We come up Walnut up to 3rd Street, and then we'll go east down to, it normally went to Pearl, but we're going to back up since there's some things hanging going on Pearl. So we'll end it right about at Mulberry, and the kids will walk the rest of the way to the park, where we'll have our award ceremony there for the parade, and then they head to Crane Youngworth for the afternoon.
I don't have a question, Mr. Carr, but I just wanted to mention, I've not been to the band event yet, the marching band. I hope to go this year, but any band event that I've heard put on the Yankton High School under your direction, you do a wonderful job, really outstanding, best I've ever heard. And so I wanted to say that because I'm just really blown away whenever I hear the Yankton band.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to leave. Thank you.
I would just echo, I know this is your second year and you're still forming it, but I know you bounce all over the Midwest throughout the fall, sometimes 2 different locations in the same weekend. And so it's really cool for you to create this signature event for Yankton, and that you're going to mix cool old cars, maybe even ugly cars in, is a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. The bands that have attended, they do refer to it as like a hometown event. That's really important, I believe.
Wonderful. Any more commission discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Thank you, and thank you, Brittany.
luck.
Very much for your work.
Number 6 under new business is consideration of memorandum 19-200 regarding resolution 19-51 regarding a no parking resolution on the west side of Kellen Gross Drive at the entrances of Truxedo, Inc. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 7 under new business is consideration of memorandum 19-202 regarding resolution 19-53 regarding ADA parking stalls on Walnut Street from 2nd to 4th Street. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Are we adding to the overall inventory of ADA parking stalls? And if so, how many?
Yes, there was originally, before the project, there was 6 designated parking spots for 2nd and 4th. And I believe with this, it depicts 14.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add about the project?
As far as the reserve parking, we just feel it'll help accommodate that Meridian district as well.
Thank you very much. Commission, any more discussion on your part? Would anyone in the audience like to address the commission on this item? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And with that, we've exhausted tonight's agenda. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual litigation and personnel matters under South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Is anyone opposed? We are adjourned into executive session.